Good evening, everyone. We got Dave Martin and Adam Seeger. I apologize, Adam, if I said your name incorrectly. They will be giving us updates on a property off of Murfreesboro Pike, and we'll discuss after their presentation.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again, Councilman Harrell, and everybody for joining. I see a couple faces we've seen on some of the previous calls, so thank you all for joining in and kind of talk about this. So we're talking about the properties on 4046 and 4060 Murfreesboro Pike, just east of Hobson Pike, kind of going towards the Rutherford County line. So we did meet before with the project and showing the plan to potentially doing townhomes, and I'll show that again here because we're still looking at kind of a similar project. We're doing the townhomes, and those townhomes being ones that would be positioned to be for sale, trying to help individuals with home ownership by creating a townhome product out there with 2-car garages and things that would add to the community. We did take some of the feedback, and some of the things we kind of received were regarding a potential second point of entry and exit, just to help with any potential traffic challenges that may happen within the community, with also considering doing the units that are on Murfreesboro Pike with brick fronts for brick facades here that face the street, so we can have a very attractive front as well, as well as having sidewalks and things in there too. So if you don't mind, I'll have Adam just pull up Adam, if you don't mind sharing either of the two, we can kind of go through the 2 slides here just to kind of orient everyone and then share with them what the plan is as far as on the rezone.
Yeah, I don't know who's controlling the meeting, but can you allow me to share my screen?
Yes, give me a moment. You should be able to share now.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then Dave, do you want me to kind of introduce the project? Do you want to keep going?
No, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, so for those on the call, this first screen is going to be just parcel viewer, and I'll zoom into the property. You can see out here on Murfreesboro Pike, we're south of Old Hickory Boulevard and to the left of Couchville Pike. What you're going to notice as I zoom in is you're going to see this red candy stripe kind of hatching. That's because we're in the Murfreesboro Pike UDO that was implemented, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. That's really more of what we call an aesthetic UDO. It has requirements for signs, sidewalks, frontages, landscaping. And so we would have to abide by that like any of the other properties. And so the 2 properties are these right here. And I'm going to switch over to this screen right here that I prepared. So that white is where our site is. It's about 10 acres, a shade more. And what you're seeing here is a zoning map where I went ahead and identified a lot of the zonings up and down Murfreesboro Pike in the area. And so anytime we look at a zoning, look, I'm going to introduce myself too, because I wasn't on the previous meetings. So just a quick aside, my name's Adam Seeger. I work with Dale & Associates. I'm a civil engineer, and Dave has engaged us to help through the zoning process, the design. We are kind of in the middle of a lot of these projects in Nashville because we work with the Planning Commission, Council, Stormwater, Water Services, Planning, NDOT, TDOT. We work with all of these various departments. And so if y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer them if I can. But that's just a quick aside on who's talking to you right now. But back to the site. When we look at a zoning, we're going to try to look at it through the same lens that Nashville planning would look at it through. And it's really somewhat logical. You kind of want to continue on developing a corridor in a similar fashion that it's already being developed as. A lot of this area over time, when this started off, probably started as AR2A, agricultural zoning. And then as the city develops and gets bigger, it gets rezoned. And that happens with almost everywhere around Nashville. So this site is no different. It's an AR2A zoning. And we're now looking at developing it. And so, well, what should it become? One of the first things that we do is we'll go to this website right here and turn on the community character policy. That's a tool that Nashville Planning uses to direct what they think this property should be. And so when you click on it, you can go over here and you're going to see what's called T3CM policy, which is a suburban mixed use corridor. What that means is when the planning department receives this project and they say, well, I wonder what we should zone it to. They're going to see this and they're going to say, well, it needs to be zoned something that would fit within a suburban mixed use corridor. And a suburban mixed use corridor has a very wide array of uses. I don't think anybody's on the call unfamiliar with Murfreesboro Pike. You're going to have a lot of commercial, a lot of multifamily. And in fact, I brought up this screen to show there's actually a lot of industrial across the street. And so as these properties develop, they get rezoned. And I just showed examples on the screen of what these properties are being rezoned to in the area. So a lot of industrial across the street. You have RM20, which is a multifamily residential. You have MUL and MULANS. MU stands for mixed use. So that would allow for commercial, office, residential, allows for just about anything. CS is commercial zoning. Anything with a C in the front is commercial. And then SP is a specific plan zoning. Some of you may have heard of those. What we're proposing here is an RM15. RM15 is a residential multifamily zoning. And we're doing that specifically because Dave came to us and said, I'd really like to do a nice townhome product out here. And so RM15 would fit nicely with that. It's actually probably not even as dense as what some of your surrounding areas can go. So even further towards Laverne, the RM20s, those allow for more CS, industrial, MUL, those all allow for more. But Dave said, no, I want to do a nice townhome development. So I'm fine just having an RM15. And that would probably be on the lower mid tier of what would be allowed in a mixed use corridor. Because as you can see in a mixed use corridor, it allows for commercial and pretty high intensity uses. I'm going to switch the screen now to a layout that we did. So this is the property. And this is a very rough layout. We don't get too detailed yet because we want to take baby steps in this process. We go through an entitlement. We try to dream and imagine what this property could become. And so this is what we call just an initial lotting study, a yield study to try to start to get an idea of about what this property would look like. We started to take into consideration real world items like the TVA towers. We're not going to put any townhomes under their easement. There's a possible sinkhole here. We have to study that. There may be, there may not be. We would avoid that. And then we have rear loaded townhomes. And so as you would drive along Murfreesboro Pike, you would be looking at the front porches of these townhomes, not the back end. We have one main access that in all likelihood would be a public road. It's very possible that Nashville Planning would force us to have a public road there. And that public road would go off and extend to the north. That's pretty common in any development where the city is looking for additional connectivity. And you do that because if a tree falls over a road somewhere, you want to have more than one option to get in and out. And so that road would go through and connect through, and Dave's team would be responsible for building that public road for the community. We do have an alternate emergency access. We want to have good access to Murfreesboro Pike. We also simultaneously don't want to have too many access points because TDOT wouldn't allow it. But yeah, that's the, I'm trying to think of anything else that might be pertinent. Dave, you want to add anything to what I just said?
Couple small things. I appreciate it, Adam. So a couple things. One is that road that's coming through, which is dictated by the city of Nashville, does not connect through to Maxwell Road. So I know back on the north side, Maxwell comes through. If it ever there's additional property behind it that would have to be potentially developed for that. And so this property does not connect directly to Maxwell, but that connector road that we would have to put in this community would be essentially the lead in from Murfreesboro Pike to Maxwell if it ever did connect and became a three-way stop there instead of the current curve that's back there for Maxwell Road. But otherwise, like I said, this is consistent with what we talked about before with doing a residential community here and potentially, doing the townhomes and making it a very nice, townhome community here for our home buyers.
Hey, Dave.
You guys have any questions or any additional comments, Councilmember Harrell?
I do have a question regarding the 4 units that are highlighted with the red outline.
Yeah. So if you don't talk to, or Adam, you want to talk to it either way?
Yeah, at this stage, anytime we're in the zoning phase of a project, everything is still in the preliminary conceptual nature. What we do for our clients, what we do for Dave, is we highlight areas as just like, hey man, heads up, you may have something here. Don't count on this being super exact, because when we have to, a survey is going to have to be performed to develop this property. And it may be that we have the 100-foot TVA easement. It may be that you have the 150-foot easement. They both exist a lot in TVA. If we have the 150-foot TVA easement, we probably won't be able to get those units right there. And so that's why I just notified those to, it's like a communication that we provide to Dave, our client, to say, hey, look, we're showing these, maybe you could get a couple units there. However, if that easement is wider during the survey, we may have to chop those off and lose those units.
Okay, you mentioned a potential sinkhole. Will you guys be required to do any blasting on this site?
Blasting is unknown. That we can't know that until a geotech happens, and then you grade the site, and that's all on the construction drawing process. If there is a sinkhole there, then we would have to go through the proper channels through Metro Stormwater and model that sinkhole, and we would have to preserve it or get permits to disturb it in any way. So that's a pretty rigorous process through TDEC and through Metro Water Services. Again, that's something, if a landscape architect gets a hold of it, they'd probably draw right through it. But being an engineer, we kind of try to see some of the hurdles that might pop up throughout. And so we wanted to go ahead and put that on there and say, we're aware of it. We're going to have to design around it. Let's just go ahead and account for it now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there anyone that have any questions or concerns? Okay, so just an update. I know I've asked before, what does parking look like? Is it multiple car garage, single car garage? Can you give me a update on that?
Sure. So, customer, so parking, every unit would have a 2-car garage, which will be a rear entry. So each one of the individual units does have its own dedicated 2-car garage parking. And we also would look at potentially using part of that TVA easement for guest parking. We can't build any structures in that area, but we could potentially use that for some additional guest parking there in the easement outside of, some of our other areas. So
there's also this layout that we're seeing is just a conceptual layout, but there are a lot of nooks and crannies to be able to put guest parking. It's not shown on this because the purpose of this drawing is for a lot study, not necessarily final construction drawings and parking. but there are ample areas to put parking on a TVA easement in between these units, or where I kind of just drew that in red.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Just confirming, each unit would have have its own two-car garage.
Okay, there was a question in the chat. Will these units have driveways?
Yeah, these are drawn to be a rear loaded to where you have two garages. The garage door will probably be 4 or 5 feet off of the rear drive access. So these are all rear loaded. So your front door is going to face the street. And that's pretty common on a rear loaded concept. On a front loaded situation, normally we'll have bigger driveways where people will queue up into the driveway. In this concept, there's going to be a lot of guest parking. So like, I'll draw it again and just keep it there. Excuse my little mouse drawing, but there's going to be opportunities here for additional guest parking. There can be opportunities, throughout to add parking. This whole area up in the TVA could have guest parking. However, all that stuff shakes out. But to answer that question about a driveway, no, these won't have a driveway here. Typically, you're going to want to see these not have driveways. It keeps them a little bit more tidier so people aren't driving. We also don't want to get in between. Sometimes if you had 12, 14 feet, people kind of just pull in and the back end of the car sticks out in the drive aisle. But when we keep them shorter like this, nobody's tempted to just kind of have cars sitting in the aisleway. So it keeps these aisleways open. So you're either in your garage or you're not. And that's what we'll typically see on developments like this.
Got it. And we will have connectivity to Murfreesboro Pike regarding sidewalks, correct?
That is
That's
correct.
correct.
Okay. What is the anticipated starting point regarding price?
It's a good question, Councilor Russell. So anticipated starting point is probably going to be right around, looking at in the 300s or so.
Okay.
And working every option to try to get those down, as low as possible to encourage home ownership.
Okay. And regarding the elevations, what are we thinking regarding square feet or footage?
Around square feet. So most of these, we do have a couple different floor plans, but it's, the ones we're looking at now are between 1,400 square feet. And I think what I can do is I can show you or send out one of the potential floor plans that we're looking at, because we did this on a similar project. So if you hold tight 1 second, let me pull this up and I can share a little bit and I can show you some of the ones that we did on the floor plan wise. Give me 1 second, I'll pull it up here.
While Dave is pulling that up, does anyone have any questions?
Do you have pictures of the homes that we can see?
I do. So, Councilman Harrell, if you don't mind allowing me to share, I'll share some of the ones. And the ones I'm going to show you here are actually the exact same type of community, and I did in Madison, Tennessee, and we did it in a community out there, and it really came out to be a really nice one. So I will show you some pictures of those, as well as some renderings and a sample of the floor plans that we did out there as well.
Good, perfect. Thank you.
And I'm pulling this up too. I've got a couple different things I can show you. All right, so let me attempt to share here. Okay, here we go. And it's going to be a really clunky here because I'm getting used to the WebEx side. So hopefully you guys can see this on my second screen, if you can see the units here. And this first one here is some of the units. So we did two different products out there. We did one, which was a 3-story unit that had the 2-car garage. And we also did a 2-story townhome that had a traditional surface park, without a 2-car garage, and you parked on the street out in front. The ones with the 3-car garage, or excuse me, 3-story to 2-car garage were definitely much more desirable. And those units, I wish we had done more of those because those are the ones that everyone asked about because of the fact that it had a two-car garage. So you can see kind of on the right side where it's just as Adam said, you kind of pull directly into your garage. We did have some guest park in the community, but this is the front and this one faced the street. So we were doing landscaping at the time from these pictures. But I mean, really nice looking elevations and things on the ones that we would potentially do on Murfreesboro Pike. Will include some additional stone and brick. That was one of the requests that, right there showing on Murfreesboro Pike. But this units here are essentially the same units that we would look at doing there on Murfreesboro Pike. And I'll expand the picture a little bit here so you can kind of see where you have your front door here on the main level. There's a bedroom there and two-car garage and a bathroom. You have your main living area as well. And then on the third floor, you have 2 additional bedrooms. So they also like the fact that in addition to having a two-car garage, we had a full bedroom and a full bathroom on that on that first level. So I will show you these are the renderings for that same project. As you can see, they kind of compared, look very much like that. And I'll scroll down and show you what the sorry about the scrolling here. What one of the floor plans look like on this, and this is the most popular floor plan, which had two-car garage, bedroom, full bathroom on the main level, had traditional living space on the second level with a half bathroom, and the third level had 2 additional bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So they end up being 3 bedroom, 3.5 bath with a 2-car garage. And this was the one that was by far the most popular of the floor plans and units.
Got it, got it. I thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Is there anyone in the group how do we feel about the renderings? How do we feel about the floor plans? Oh, we got quite a bunch tonight. Okay, well, Dave, man, I like this. This looks good, man. We had some conversations previously, and again, man, everything that we have discussed, man, you have been very detailed in including that, so I appreciate that. Um, Moving forward, what do you need from me? Are you ready to go to planning?
Yes, I appreciate it. We already go planning, and just for the context of the group here, the planning step is not the final step. Once we go to planning for the rezoning, I would still like to continue to work with this community and put together a group here, the community, as we get forward into actual, unit design, layouts, floor plans, and things like that. So we'd like to continually, work with the group here as we, get more of a finalized site plan and layouts and specific things for the community.
I would appreciate that because I know once it is submitted to planning, there may be some changes requested or some accommodations that they may request. So I appreciate you being willing to bring that back to the community once we have that information. Um, is there any other questions or concerns that we have in the community? Are we liking it? Does it look good? Yay, nay? All right. Okay. Um, Jackie, I see you smiling. I'll take that as a yay. Well,
Those
I'm not
look
gonna hold.
nice. Those
Thank
look
you guys for
nice.
the feedback.
I like the fact of a main or at least a bedroom on the main level where, especially when my mother was visiting when she was still alive, because she couldn't climb stairs as much, that's really awesome.
And I appreciate that. That was some of the feedback we received before where, folks that may have individuals that, do not want to deal with the stairs to be able to have a bedroom and a full bathroom on that main level, was one that we thought would be helpful for, people looking at these particular units. So thank you for the feedback.
And again, Dave, I appreciate you for considering that feedback and making changes to the plan. So I appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Okay, well, I'll give you guys some of your time back tonight. Thank you for the update, Dave. You have my support regarding taking it to the planning commission, submitting your app, and we can schedule a meeting as more information comes from that.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. I'd be happy to come back and present as we're going through the process. And then once we complete the rezone, then we'll get ready with the community and have some fun, doing some design work.
Awesome, awesome. Well, just an update, we will our standing meeting on the 24th, the last Monday of the month. We will have guests. The planning department will be presenting a survey and some results from that survey regarding development and just some of the concerns and feedback that the community has given. And so the goal is for us to take that feedback and potentially make some changes in regarding to how we zone in the area. So I encourage, if you are available, please come. It is the 24th of this month, and the time is from 6 to we say 6 to 7, but typically, just to be honest with you all, our meetings run about till about 7:30. Also, on that day, there is also a traffic calming meeting for that same day. We have a few traffic calming projects that are coming on board. And so if you go to the District 8 Nashville.gov page, you can have that information there. And I will also share it out in the District 8 community group. With that being said, I'm going to stop recording, and I appreciate everyone for attending tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all. See you.